Please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thanks. So I'll keep it, I'll try to keep it brief. All of you might know Wipro is one of the large IT service companies. And I'll just give a very quick landscape of the energy footprint that we have across different value chain that we have. And also explain briefly what we have done so far and what we plan to do going forward. So one is that we have around 180,000 employees spread across the globe, bulk of them based in India. And so our business is largely in terms of looking at IT consulting services for global clients. So one is the footprint is basically comprised of the buildings where we operate out of, because essentially since services need building spaces, so we have a large building footprint in India, close to 120,000 employees working on various metros in India. And a good part of employees also travel to overseas client spaces. So if you look at the overall footprint of Wipro or any large IT company based in India, the footprint will largely be one-fourth of footprint will be on building emissions, which is basically in terms of energy consumption and other key infrastructure related emissions, and three-fourths of that would be in aspects like business travel and employee commute, right? Because a lot of the employees, a lot of the consultants travel to various customer sites in India or overseas for businesses, right? So that's the broad kind of a footprint that we have. One-fourth is in building services, and three-fourths is in business travel, employee commute, product services that we procure, and so on and so forth. So scope 1 and 2 is just one-fourth of our emissions, right? I think we have built a robust portfolio of green buildings over the last decade and a half. One of the first few companies to start the green building movement in India. We have close to have about 15 buildings which are green, which are LEED certified, either silver or gold certified buildings in India. That was pre 2010, 2006, 2007, that time frame. So that is one thing. And post that, so in a sense, while the sector as such is not addressed by any PAT scheme, but the fact that buildings obviously use lot of the primary materials like cement or steel indirectly has an impact on us, right? How do we decide to choose materials for building has an indirect impact in terms of our footprint as well, right? So that's one thing. And if you look at globally also, what we see is globally, one-third of the energy demand is going in buildings, right? And more than a quarter of emissions actually go to buildings. So the buildings have a huge footprint. In India, it not be so much high right now, but I think over the next few years, while a lot of the unbuilt urban spaces, rural spaces kind of ramps up, our building footprint of emissions will increase going forward. So I think we need to look at how to enable the green building movement in India, and I think schemes like the carbon trading mechanism can help in that area as well. So what we have done is that one is on the ensuring that we do the right design of buildings in through various measures. Second is procurement of renewable energy for our operations. So close to 40% of the energy procurement for our buildings in India is from renewable energy sources. That's a significant step that we have taken. The third is that to guide our way forward, we have signed up to the Science Based Targets Initiative (SBTI) based targets in 2017. So right now we have a target which basically says that we reduce our scope 1 and 2 emissions by 50% by 2030 from a 2018 baseline. Similarly, for employee commute, business travel, and waste management, which is 70% of the bulk of the emissions, we're going to reduce by 30% absolute emissions. So that's a steep target, right? And so while I think we've done a lot of work on the building side, efficiency side, like efficient air conditioning equipment, renewable energy procurement, solar power for our buildings, stuff like that. But the challenge that we have going forward is to reduce our scope 3 footprint. And the attention is coming back right now to that area, especially in the COVID or the post-COVID world. A lot of work that we are doing right now, including this webinar, is basically using remote conferencing technologies, stuff like that. And I think while we had made a beginning on that front in the last few years, I think we are seeing an increased ramp up of using these technologies. For example, we used to have 80% of employees coming to our offices just in the beginning of March. But as we speak right now, it is completely flipped. Bulk of the employees work remotely. So we had to rapidly deploy remote working technologies. We had to deploy laptops for all our employees working remotely. And including that, one of the challenges that we have is because we handle customer data, sensitive customer data, how do we actually set up the data security protocols and infrastructure to enable remote working and also gain confidence of clients? So that is one challenge that we have faced. How do we ramp up the remote conferencing working rapidly at a scale which is unprecedented even for a company like us? The second is that we are also trying to look at a lot of the technologies right now are not, the IT infrastructure is not actually in the offices. We are looking at shifting a significant part of our infrastructure to the cloud. So if you look at whether it's the mail servers or the computing devices, everything we are using the cloud computing equipment. Right? That is one thing where you virtualize your entire IT infrastructure. You don't have any specific servers in your campus, but actually using virtualized cloud computing services for your business services. So that is one thing. The other point is that pre-COVID also we had a lot of significant work in terms of reducing our business travel footprint. And
just 30 seconds more. We're already above 5 minutes. I'm just interrupting you.
Sure. I just want to quickly say that business travel, what we've done is we also try to look at our footprint, our airline emissions footprint, right, and how we try to reduce that. We're looking at choosing airlines based on their emissions portfolio. Also, we significantly ramp up our carpooling and electric vehicles program in India, right? So close to 50,000 employees in India use actually carpooling services that we have through our partners, and including electric vehicles. So I'll just conclude by saying that there is a huge leverage that we have by using IT for two things. One is to look at engaging with our suppliers in terms of the life cycle of building, whether it is procurement of materials and also in-use phase emissions, whether it is HVAC and IT infra, where we actually procure from a lot of MSMEs. How do we actually leverage that carbon trading mechanism to make the right choices of purchase choices? Right, that is one point. And secondly, also to look at certain interventions like in transportation, logistics, supply chain, and energy water management. There is immense scope for using IT as a tool to reduce the overall value chain footprint. Right. So I'll stop there and is there any question that I can take?
Thank you so much.